Hello veterans, look at this book that I've got right here, and this is the rating schedule. This is the entire schedule as to how the Department of Veterans Affairs actually determines what percentage that they're going to give you based upon your functional limitations. I want to show it to you so you can understand one of the tools the VA uses when evaluating disability compensation cases. You may be watching because you're putting together a claim, and you know part of the process will be to see a doctor for an exam. Independent medical exams are called IMEs, or sometimes IMOs for short. They're a critical factor in determining whether you'll ultimately receive compensation or not. At the end of this video, you can download a checklist of things to do before, during, and after your exam. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you what to do before, during, and after your IME. I'll start with a refresher on what the VA is looking for. In order to compensate a veteran for a service-connected disability, they need evidence that's credible and it's probative. Credible and probative descriptions means is that usually if a medical doctor provides an opinion, it's automatically credible. If a lesser medical professional provides an opinion, it's credible, but it may not have the probativity, it may not be as probative as somebody that's a specialist in their specific field of medical care. So first, you need to select your doctor. Or if this is an appeal for TDIU and I represent you, I might have the right specialist just for your case. Second, gather as much information as you can. Doctors can be busy, and so any information you can provide them helps them better understand your injury. In fact, I would like to say that you could write down your symptoms that you've observed, and you should have a buddy statement or a spouse also write down observations that they've had related to your disability. So gathering stories from your loved ones, compiling a folder of examples of how the injury keeps you from working is very important. I can't, again, underscore the importance of having what they call lay statements. Third, write down your goals for the exam. You need to know what to expect. Now, let me show you how I prepare a veteran experiencing, as an example, a lumbar spine injury for an IME or a CNP. The doctor is going to provide a number of tests for you during the exam. It's called range of motion, and according to the regulations, this range of motion must be measured by what they call a goniometer. It's like a geometric level that they use that can measure exact types of limitations you have, functional limitations that might affect your muscles or your bones or your nerves or anything else that has an effect on your ability to bend forward or twist or move backward. Now in the case of a lumbar spine, especially related to your forward motion, if your forward motion on the examination suggests that you can't bend more than 30 degrees to 60 degrees forward, you're limited to 30 degrees to 60 degrees forward, that's it's kind of like measuring how far you can bend before it's so painful you can't bend anymore. And it's very important that you understand this so that you don't push yourself like you normally would do to say, no, I can do that. No, you can't. If it's too painful, you've got to stop. So the point is, if you're 30 degrees to 60 degrees, and you can't bend any further, and they know that it's a service-connected lumbar spine, they could pay you a 20% service-connected disability in that case. Let's talk about a veteran whose forward flexion, again, reinforcing the fact that forward flexion is the primary range of motion they're looking at. If you can't bend more than 30 degrees forward related to your forward flexion for a lumbar spine service-connected examination, you could very well be entitled to 40% service-connected disability. Let me share it and stop at this point the importance of flares. What do I mean by flares? I mean it's the kind of record keeping and statement we may obtain from you and or your spouse or a buddy, people you worked with at one time, indicating that after you do certain types of activities, it really affects your functional capabilities. Your functional capabilities with respect to bending in this case. And so flares are very important and have to be addressed by the medical doctor, an orthopedic specialist or neurologist, or an independent medical doctor that we may have you see in order to actually determine what the best credible and probative evidence is to determine the severity of your case. They're obligated by law to ask you this at the examination. They're also obligated to do the range of motion at least 3 times if you're able to. And if they don't, it's really considered to be an inadequate examination, which means that you have to do it over with again with the doctor. So I wanted to provide that as an example of the types of evidence and the types of examination protocol the VA uses for the spine. What I do as one of the people representing veterans at the appellate level, anytime there's a disability, I make sure the veteran understands exactly what the rating schedule dictates equates to a certain percentage of disability.